Okay, we thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's of our learning, we should have the Beis Hamikdash immediately. Okay, we stopped in a very difficult spot, like right in the middle of a complicated. Okay, what happened was like this. We're dealing with several cases at the same time. First of all, there's a case where a woman's husband goes on a trip and there's a report that he passed away. So she gets remarried. Then we find that he's alive. So it's very clear that if there were witnesses that said that he died, that she's allowed to go back to him. That was pretty clear. But if there was only one witness that he died, then she's not allowed to go back to him. Okay, now we had another case. We have a case of everything, by the way, is a machlekes. So if we find something that contradicts this, that's another opinion. Then we have another case of a woman that went on a trip. And the husband hears that she passed away, and he marries her sister. Now, in that case, we also had one more detail, that together with the woman that went on the trip, her own sister's husband, which is the brother-in-law, is also on the trip. So the wife of one and the husband of another, of two sisters, are on a trip, which leaves a husband of one marriage and a wife of the other marriage, his wife's sister, back at home. And if he marries her, so then in most cases, he's going to be still permitted to his wife, according to most opinions, but his sister-in-law is going to be prohibited to the husband. Yeah, in most instances or opinions, he's going to be permitted to his own wife when she returns. He thought she passed away on this trip, but when she returns, okay, what did he do? He lived with another woman. That doesn't make him forbidden to his wife. Well, that woman turned out was his wife's sister. We said yesterday that doesn't make his wife forbidden, right? Only her relations make her forbidden to her husband, not her sister's relation. However, the sister-in-law, the wife's sister, she is probably prohibited to the husband, based on if it's one witness, two witnesses, to her own husband that was on this trip. When he returns, said, I thought he was dead. Well, Rabbi Yossi comes along and says that whoever makes others forbidden also is himself forbidden. And whoever doesn't make others forbidden doesn't make himself forbidden. That was a statement of Rabbi Yossi. We didn't know what Rabbi Yossi meant. So we learned Rabbi Ami interpreted it, that the Tanna Kama hold, it's going like this. What's Rabbi Yossi arguing on? Tanna Kama held that the wife, this woman that went on the trip, when she returns, she's permitted to her husband. And the wife is always permitted to the husband, and it doesn't matter what happens to the sister-in-law. Whether the sister-in-law is prohibited because only one witness said that the husband had died, or whether the sister-in-law is permitted because two witnesses had said the husband had died, the wife is always permitted. Because even if it was only one witness, the husband is still permitted to his wife. Even if it was only one witness that she died, he doesn't become prohibited to her. However, Rabbi Yossi comes along and says no. Rabbi Yossi, according to Rabami, he said that if the sister-in-law is prohibited to her husband, how would that be? if there was one witness said that the husband died, so then his own wife would also be prohibited. Because anyone that any act that apostles someone else also apostles himself. That's what was Rabami interpreted. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha Amar, that's where we'll start today. 3 lines down. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha Amar La'ilam HaSeifa. Really, we're talking about the Seifa. Now, Seifa means that our issue here is not the one witness or 2 witnesses issue. Our issue is the sister-in-law issue. We have another issue. The first Mishnah was really discussing, the ratio was really discussing 1 witness or 2 witnesses. Now we're discussing the sister-in-law. It goes like this. He skipped the parentheses. Rashi takes it out. Hada asli arusasi v'gisai, hada asli ishte v'gisai. It depends. This fellow, was he betrothed to his wife or was he married to his wife? And now she's going on a trip. It's like engaged to her, or maybe he's married to her, and there's a difference. And the Tanakama's opinion was Leishna ishte v'gisei, Leishna rusasi v'gisei. Eishes gisei asira, ishte sharia. The Tanakama says that we have no difference between whether he was married or only betrothed. His wife went on a trip, and now we thought that she was dead. Now she shows up, she's not dead. So he's allowed to continue to live with her. What could mess that up? And the sister-in-law, whose husband was also on the trip, that we thought he was dead, is now returned. And it doesn't matter whatever the case is, she's forbidden to to her husband because she lived with another man. But Kamalei Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Yossi says, Ishtay v'gisai the lekalamei martina havalei b'nesuin the ina paisal al yedei acher ina paisal al yedei atzmei arisasi v'gisai dikalamei martina havalei b'kedushin paisal al yedei acherim af paisal al yedei atzmei. Rabbi Yossi has a totally different concern. His concern is like this. There's a law that you're not allowed to remarry a wife after she's divorced and married someone else. You can't take her back in. You can't marry her again. So in this case, this fellow is married to Leah. Okay, Leah goes on the trip. Let's do the worst case. He's betrothed to Leah. And Leah goes on a trip together with, he's Ruvain, and this is Leah. I know it doesn't fit up with the biblical story. This is Ruvain and Leah, and Shimon is the husband of Rachel, is on the trip. So we have reports that Leah and Shimon have passed away. So now, Ruvain now goes and marries Rachel. He was really only betrothed to Leah. He was never really married to her. So there's a possibility that maybe that betrothal was done on condition. If she does something or whatever, so then it's a good betrothal. Now, we don't say that for the Nisuin. We never say that Nisuin, a real marriage, could be done on condition. But a betrothal could be done on condition. But there is a potential here that maybe the betrothal was totally invalid and Reuven was never even betrothed to Leah. Now, if that's the case, when we see Reuven now marrying Rachel, so that could be the first marriage. That could be a real marriage. Okay, well, Shimon comes back. Right. Yeah. So now he divorces Rachel. and Rachel, mixing up. Is it the sister that's the one that's betrothed and not his wife? No, it's his wife that's betrothed. His sister is fully married. Then how could he marry a woman that's married? 1 second. I understand, but that can't be Ishes Gisai. Ishte v'gisai. No, it's clearly either his wife or his betrothal. So, it looks like that when Shimon returns, it looks like that Shimon is remarrying his own wife after she was correctly married to Reuven. That's because we're thinking that Reuven had a real marriage to Rachel. I guess Shimon and Rachel, they think, are divorced. And now when Reuven gets divorced from Rachel, so she's now going back to Shimon. Shimon is remarrying his own wife after she's been married to someone else. But what does that have to do with if he was married to his own wife or not? 1 second. Yeah, has to do with his own wife. You know why? Because if he was married to his wife, not betrothed to his wife, if he was married to his wife, then he would never be allowed to marry his wife's sister, unless his wife had passed away. But we know that his wife didn't pass away. So if his wife really didn't pass away, then we would assume that this marriage was not a valid marriage. But now that we think that maybe he was never married to his wife, because maybe it was on condition. So therefore the marriage to his wife's sister was a real marriage. And now he's getting divorced. And now Shimon is taking her back. So now it looks like he's machzor gerushasei. But that could only be if Reuven was betrothed to Leah. So it goes like this. Rabbi Yossi is saying, Kamali Rabbi Yossi, ishte v'gisei. If it's his wife and his brother-in-law that went on the trip, and he can't say that there was a condition in his own marriage. So then he's going to hold now, very interesting. This is one more detail here that we didn't have in the Tanakama. We have this another machlekes here that Rachel is going to be allowed to return to Shimon. Tanakama held no. Rabbi Yossi holds yes. That his sister-in-law can return to her husband. And so therefore, therefore his own wife is permissible also. However, Rabbi Yossi says that if it's arusei v'gisai, if his own wife was only betrothed to him, and the brother-in-law that went on the trip, we could say that maybe he wasn't really married to her. And if that's the case, then it's going to mess up Rachel going back to Shimon, because it looks like Rachel is going back to a man that had divorced her and she had remarried and now is going back to him. So if that's the case, then Reuven can't marry his own wife either, because he holds that if it messes up someone else's marriage, so then it also messes up his own marriage. Why did it mess up the other marriage? Because it looks like machzor gerushasei is returning the Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says name of Shmuel halachic Rabbi Yossi. The halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. This was Rabbi Yossi that told us a leniency and a stringency. The leniency was that the sister-in-law is not necessarily forbidden to her husband, and the stringency is that his own wife is possibly forbidden to him. Maskefler Rabbi Yosef says, the Shmuel really say this. We have a statement in Machlekes Amiraim. It says Yevama. Regarding a Yevama, it means a woman that's left to do the levirate marriage because her husband passed away. She's a widow. Rava Maria Keshisis. Rav says she's considered like a married woman. We'll see what that means in a minute. I have two opinions here, several opinions actually. Shmuel Amar Eina Keshisis. Shmuel says she's not like a married woman. Again, she's waiting to get married to her brother, her husband's brother. Amar Rav Huna says Kigain Shekidish Echav Esher Isra, V'halach Lein Medina Sayam, V'shama Shemei Sachiv, V'amad V'nasa Es Ishtei. We're not doing what we're doing over here is that the original marriage was only a betrothal. Then the husband goes on a trip. We hear that the husband passed away. So comes along the brother and marries her. So Rav says, can she go back? There's a discussion here. Can she go back to the first husband? To whom she was betrothed, that was on a trip and now returned from the dead, sort of. Rav says, because there was a betrothal here, it looks like she was never really married to the first man. It was all on condition. She got married to her husband's brother instead of the husband. Now the husband divorces her, and the brother is just marrying his the original husband is now marrying his brother's wife. That's a problem. Shmuel Amar Eina Keshish V'shayalei. Shmuel says no, we don't suspect that it looks like machzer, that he is taking back his wife. Well, if Shmuel says the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, and Shmuel over here says that we're not concerned that it looks like he's taking back his wife because maybe the whole marriage originally was only on condition, and that's why this is a real marriage and all of that. So then there's a contradiction in the rulings of Shmuel. Shmuel before was passing like Rabbi Yossi that says we have a concern that maybe he's taking back his wife after she's been remarried. And over here, we're saying that we're not concerned that maybe the marriage was on condition and that the brother married her for the first time. And now he's divorcing her. And now the original husband is now marrying his brother's wife while he's still alive. We're not concerned about that. So Amalei Abaya says, Mimai, how do you know the Chiyam Shmuel Alachik Rabbi Yossi ad Rabbi Yitzchak Nafla Kamar? When Rabbi Yossi said his statement, so we said two opinions of what Rabbi Yossi meant. We had Rabbi Ami and we had Rabbi Yitzchak Nafla. Rabbi Ami's view had to do with that it depends if one witness, that the Tanakama said that it doesn't matter if one witness came or two witnesses came to say that the husband was dead. The wife is, although the sister-in-law is forbidden to her husband, but his own wife is always going to be permitted to him. And Rabbi Yossi said that's not true. If the sister-in-law is permitted to the husband, then his own wife is permitted. If the sister-in-law is not permitted to the husband, his own wife is forbidden as well. That was Rabbi Ami's view. Maybe Shmuel's talking about Rabbi Ami. And we're not dealing with, was it a full marriage? Was it not a full marriage? Which is what Rabbi Yitzchak Nafla came in. And now we have a contradiction in Shmuel because Shmuel is now telling me, according to Rav Huna at least, that if it's not a full marriage, we have a new suspicion. over here that maybe the whole marriage, the whole betrothal was only on condition, and now he's taking her back. He's not talking about that. He passed him like Rabbi Yossi according to a different version of Rabbi Yossi. And even if you want to say that he's passing like Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, mimayda apostle, how do you know that he's referring to the fact that Rabbi Yossi says apostle? Maybe v'dilma ain't a paisel. If you remember in Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha's chat, there was two interesting points that Rabbi Yossi was saying that would be different than the Tanna Kama. One of them is that if it was a real marriage, the sister-in-law would be allowed to go back to her husband if it was a full marriage. Tanna Kama didn't agree to that. Tanna Kama said, no, the sister-in-law doesn't go back to the husband. Rabbi Yossi said yes. Now, Rabbi Yossi had a stringency also. He said that if the sister-in-law doesn't go back to the marriage, why? Because it wasn't a full marriage, it was only a betrothal. So then his own wife can't return to him either. That was the stringency of Rabbi Yossi. But maybe Shmuel was passing like Rabbi Yossi only in the leniency, not in the stringency. And then it doesn't have a contradiction with what he said when he's lenient in that case, when he argues with Rav. Inami, another interpretation of this, there's moving parts over here. That's the issue. Because you can interpret each one differently. You can interpret Rabbi Yossi differently. You can interpret what Shmuel says, the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi differently.
This whole idea that a couple that's betrothed has enough of a relationship, separation with fire against. Is that entirely rabbinic?
No, it's biblical.
It's
That's biblical. That's the Raisa. A betrothed couple, if she lives with someone, she gets the death penalty. She's considered married.
Betrothal is pretty much marriage, but they don't have
Right.
relations.
Yeah.
Are they
Yeah.
living with each other?
No, she's still in her father's house.
Okay.
So the debate there is what the derisive requires.
The debate over there is, do we suspect that maybe there was a condition in the betrothal? Which that's a possibility. No, that maybe the whole betrothal was based on if she's going to do something which she didn't do, and therefore the whole betrothal is off. Or if that's the case, then another husband comes in and marries her. It was a first marriage, not a second marriage. And then if that's the case, then when he's divorcing her, this other fellow is marrying his brother's wife. That was our issue. Because it was a full marriage.
Establishes that a betrothal is a marriage.
No, but I'll look for it. Okay.
Do we start the Mishnah on 76 yet?
What is that?
Do we start the Mishnah yet?
Not yet.
Marriage,
Not yet. I'm on top of
trial marriage,
96.
Exclusive trial marriage. It's a whole year, right? The betrothal is
Yeah.
a year. So is it all the restrictions of being married without being together?
Yeah.
That was what
What benefit was that?
to see whether the guy is good, whether the girl is
No,
good,
they would start preparing for the wedding.
the caterer, all that stuff.
Yeah, and he would probably go get apprentice or something.
Yeah, what?
Apprentice to learn a trade.
Oh, good job.
I feel like
Start building a house.
They could be betrothed for years, until they're of age.
Yeah, that's probably it. Also,
Yeah.
very good. It's in arranged marriages, so they would do a betrothal. That way, they're like locked in, and then
Yeah.
like an engagement today.
Yeah, I know. Like my great grandparents out in living in the country, like in Yemen and things like that, they get married like very early because
Right.
Muslims would snatch up,
Right.
singles,
Did you follow
and
that?
try to convert them.
In Yemen, they would get married early
Yeah.
because the Muslim men would snatch the girls.
Yeah.
Also, the whole style was different. They would get married at 13. And,
It was a real marriage.
Was that was betrothal? 15?
it was a real marriage. They lived in the parents' house, and then the fellow would work and could save money till he's 18.
Right.
And then they
I know
had
in
money
Islam
for,
it goes by the father. So it was permissible to pretty much have relations with singles who were not Muslim. That was totally encouraged.
Wow.
It was encouraged for Muslims to have relations with single women to convert them. So
Wow.
it goes by the father.
Okay.
So,
Inami, or else we can explain the contradiction in Shmuel. Mimai the Isal de Ravuna, Dil Malesal de Ravuna Klal, with the Rav Hamnuna Kamiflagi. How do you know that they're discussing the way Rav Huna put it? Rav Huna put it that there was only a betrothal here. We're talking about Yevama that lives with the brother. And we're asking, is that an original marriage, or is that what was going on over there? Do we say that there was a condition on that? How do you know that that's the pshat? Maybe it has to do with Rav Hamnuna, and it's a totally different story. If you just look at the words of Rav and Shmuel, Rav said that she's an Eishes Ish, and Shmuel says she's not. Now, how do you want to interpret that? So Rav Hamnuna could interpret it that if she has relations with someone while she's waiting to do Yibam, does she now become forbidden to the Yavam? Very simple. This is a very straightforward pshat. Rav says yes. The Rav Amar says she's now forbidden to her husband. Now, who's the husband? Someone that she was never married to yet, but she was married to his brother. But she's a Shemeres Yavam, and relationships during that time make her forbidden to the husband. And then that has nothing to do with the statement of Rabbi Yossi. Or maybe we can do it differently. We could say like this, that let's say someone actually marries a Yevama, a Shemeres Yavam, a woman that's waiting to do Yibam. Is that considered enough of a marriage that requires a get, or do we say that it's nothing? Because she's in middle of two marriages. Her husband passed away. She's waiting for the brother. Maybe she's not eligible for marriage. The Rav Amaria Keshish. Rav says that she's not eligible for marriage and she doesn't even require a get. There is no kedushin there. But Shmuel says that no, she requires a get. But we already had a machlekes about this back over here, where Shmuel said that because we don't know the clear pshat in the pasuk, so therefore we're going to require a get. The Gemara says, don't worry about that they argued about it once. One of these statements that we have from Shmuel is derived from the other statement. And so therefore, there's not a problem if they argued about it once. This is just repeating it in other words. It was derived from the first statement. Which one was first? I don't know. Okay, we have a Mishnah now. New Mishnah. Don't think that it gets easier just because it's a new Mishnah. But it is a new start. So put it that way. Yeah. They tell a fellow that his wife died. So,
it's complicated.
So, all right, his wife died. So he went and he married her sister. Now, it was really only her, they shared the same father. These two girls. They shared the same father. So he married, the mothers were different. Okay, he doesn't have good luck. Mesa, she dies. Now he marries a third wife. But the third wife is related to the mother of this new wife that he just had. I don't even have enough names to go through this. The third wife. Yeah, let's do. He was married to Leah.
No, it's the third wife. It's okay.
And then he was married to Rachel. Now he's married to Bilhah. They shared the same mother. In this case, Rachel and Leah only shared the same father. And now Rachel and Bilhah share the same mother. Well, she dies, and now he marries her sister, Me'avia. Share the same father.
Oh.
Now, only every two women over here. So far, he's married to 4 different women. Only 2 of them are actually related. once you get to the third one, there's absolutely no relation because they were half sisters from the father. The third one is only from the mother. The fourth one is only from the father. So there's really no relation back from the fourth to the second, and for the first to the third, or for the first to the third. He alternates,
It
yeah.
could be anyone. It could just be another.
Mesa, v'nasa chesed me'ima. Then she passed away, and married the from the mother, the sister from the mother. How many did we have so far? No, there's
Father,
more.
Mother, father, mother.
Mesa Shtech was his first wife. Achesed me'avia, achesed me'ima, achesed me'avia, achesed me'ima. It was five. Right? No, the bottom would be the wives. On this picture, this is interesting because what they color coded the relationship between them. That this one, you see black with black, that's spotted with spot, and that's his way of saying that they're only half related. So you'd notice this one doesn't have any black in it.
Yeah.
Or, so,
That's the
Like
only
Yaakov
one.
sheep.
like Yaakov sheep, right?
Yeah, these are both are totally different.
Yeah. V'nimtzah and kayamas, just to make it into a Yevamos story. Turns out that none of them had really passed away. They were all really alive. They were hiding somewhere. Well, who's he married to now? Mutter b'rishayna b'shlish v'chamisha septuris tzarisayim v'asa b'shniya revia b'shniya b'revia svein bias achzim piteris tzarasa. Bimba l'shniya la'achar misas rishayn. Okay, let's wait for Vimba. He's allowed to remain married. Well, he's not allowed. He's married to the first, third, and fifth wife. Because they're not sisters. They're not related. However, the second wife is forbidden to him because she's the sister of his first wife. So that marriage was never even took place. Can't marry a wife, a woman and her sister. So the second marriage didn't take place. The fourth marriage didn't take place because that's a sister of the third marriage, which was a real marriage. Now, if that's the case, so then when it comes to Yibam, if this fellow passes away and someone does Yibam on wife 1, 3, or 5, so then he doesn't need to do Yibam on any others because those were the real wives. But if he does Yibam on 2 or 4, then that did nothing. Okay. Now it says, interesting, if the first wife was the only one that really passed away, then he lives with the second one. Well, now the process starts, what's the interval over here? Restarts. And Mutter b'shniya b'revius, his wife is really only the second wife now and the fourth wife, not the third and the fifth. If he passes away and the brother comes along and does Yibam, whether on the second or on the fourth, that would be a good marriage. That would be a good Yibam. And you only have to do Yibam once, right? Or Chalitza once on one of them. But he's forbidden to marry, but he's forbidden to the third wife and the fifth wife because they're sisters of his second and fourth wife, which were the real wives. In relations with one of them, the third and fifth is not going to exempt from Yibam because that's not a real wife. Okay, now we have a discussion. Yeah, that was easy. All right.
But it's okay.
You get the point though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was an independent mission that had nothing to do with the last one.
Right.
To start. Because then it would become like.
Yeah.
that she got married.
It's easier when
I'm a very visual person. You need to make like a whiteboard with graphs and stickers and magnets.
By the father is the real sister, but the sister of the mother is not.
it is a real sister also.
Also,
Yeah. When it comes to forbidden marriages, the mother is also a family. When it comes to inheritance, then we don't say that.
Not to get confused, he put badges on all these women, and they were called badgered women. No need no stinking badges. Sorry.
Okay, ben teisha shana v'yemechad, hu paisel al yedei achen, v'achen paisel al yadei, ala hu paisel tchila v'achen paisel tchila v'seif. We're gonna get an example, so we'll make it a little easier. We're talking about here a minor that has a marriage. What happens? What type of marriage is that? He's 9 years old, so his relations are already considered relations, but he's still he's only a minor, which makes Dr. Stein, which makes his relations only considered mimer. So the minor is just a mimer. Mimer is the
Contagious.
mimer is the sort of betrothal that takes place in a yibam marriage. It's rabbinic. Okay, so in other words, his marriage to the Yevama goes down a notch. It's not a full
So
because he's
rabbinic reservation.
yeah.
So she can't perform Hebrew.
So it sort of designates her to him,
Yeah,
but it doesn't
she's prohibited.
create the full yibam. She becomes forbidden on the brothers
Right.
after that, and I guess would require a get. So what it says is like this, that he can mess up the brothers, and the brothers can mess him up when it comes to this marriage, this yibam marriage. The only thing is, he only messes up the brothers if he has relations first, then the other brothers can't do yibam. But let's say one of the brothers did yibam, and then he comes along and has relations with that woman or with one of the other wives. That does nothing, because the yibam is much stronger than what he did.
Right.
Okay.
Hebrew is pretty much.
On the other hand, if he has relations with the Yevama, and then one of the brothers comes along, oh, so that's already mimer. Yeah. So it works that if he was first at the Yibam, then the other brothers are in trouble. And if the other brothers are first, then he's in trouble. But why is he worse? Is that if the other brothers are first, then he can't mess up their marriage. That's what we're saying. It could be adultery. Yeah, that could be another issue. Ketzad, ben teisha shana v'yemechad shabal yevamte, pasal al yedei achen. I don't know. Al yedei sounds funny. Maybe al yadei achen. The brothers become pasal because of this. Bo al achen vasa ba maimer v'nas neget eichalzu paisan al yadei. He becomes forbidden to the Yevama because of what the brothers did, even if it was just mimer.
Why is the detail of like age 9 years and 1 day? Why is that even relevant to this?
Because we're looking for an age where the child is still a child, but his relations, marital relations, is considered an act of relations. And that's only at age 9. Otherwise, we say what he did was nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
He's mature enough to have relations, but he's not considered that what he did was a real kinyan, an acquisition.
Rabbi, usually who is given priority of the brothers to do?
We said it was the oldest.
You.
Yeah. We said, was it the oldest that was here, the oldest available, or was it the oldest in time? I think it was the oldest available. I think that was.
If he's mature enough to be Hebrew, he's mature enough to include something.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't. Right.
He's not old enough.
Right. He's really not old enough for Yibam either. His relations.
He did it.
Yeah. His relations make it like mimer. Okay.
Problem is, he's not old enough to do Kenyan.
Right.
Is that the issue?
Right. Gemara now questions one of the statements of the Mishnah. It said that after the first wife died, he marries the other one. Now, the way I translated it was after the first wife really died. The Gemara doesn't know that. The Gemara starts off with, weren't all the cases after the first wife died? The whole first half of the Mishnah? No, after the first wife really died, then the numbers start over that the second wife is the real wife, and then it would be second, fourth, and then we think go to 6. Okay. And Teisha Shanim Chulu, from 9 years old. He only invalidates what the brothers will do if he did Yibam first. But we have a statement that if someone does Maimer, pasla. We have a statement that doesn't say that. We have a statement that says that even if Maimer was done and the brother that's only 9 years old comes along and does Yibam, so he makes her puzzle to the brothers, even though the older brothers did Maimer first. You told me that it's only if he does it first. If the minor does it first, then that's going to have any effect. Now you're telling me that even if he comes later, it has an effect. Amri, so they reinterpret the Mishnah. They say be a pasal afilu b'seif. When we said in the Mishnah, we have to retract from what we said. We said in the Mishnah that what he does later has no effect. That's not talking about bia, relations. Relations will have an effect later. Maimer tchila pasal b'seif le pasal. If he does maimer, which we didn't even mention, if he does maimer first, then that's going to be effective. If he does maimer later, then that's nothing. However, bia fila b'seif pasal, but bia even at the end will make the woman pasal. Gemara says vaktani ela shehu paisel tchila v'hein tchila v'seif. Ketzad ben teishanim yachid shabal yivamt. That's not the case that the Mishnah gave me. Mishnah gave me a specific case where he lived with the Yevama first. Now you're telling me that he did Maimer first. The Gemara says, the Mishnah is missing words. You read it like this. This is easy to fix. Once we give him an eraser and a pen, so you can fix this up. What did the Mishnah say now? The Mishnah says 9 years old in a day. Who paisel tchila? Behin paisel tchila v'seif. And they can passel. The older brothers can passel beginning and end. Okay, that's what we're adding in. When do we say this? This is only by maimer, which means the type of kedushin gives her some sort of money or value. Aval bia paisalas afilu b'seif, but bia will invalidate even at the end. And ketzad ben teshanav yayim echad habal yivamte pasal al yedayachin. Now we're reinterpreting this. Pasal al yedayachin means that his relation with the Yevama will invalidate what the brothers already did, which was Maimer. That means that his bia comes in after a Maimer and it still is effective. Now that's the Ketzad is telling me, Pasal al Yedei Achin means that the Achin already had done Maimer. Not that the Achin are going to want to do something in the future. It's what they did already. The Gemara says, Maimer Klal al Yedei Achin. And is it possible to have Maimer through the brothers? We're going to ask over here. But Tanya, we have a brayso ben tesh shana v'yem echad hu paisel b'davar echad v'achem paisel al yadi b'arba dvarim. That he only has one option. He doesn't even have maimer. Hu paisel al yadei achen b'bia. If he has relations with the Yevama, then he passes the brothers from doing Yibam. V'achem paisel al yadi b'bia b'maimer b'get b'chalitza. But the brothers have 4 options. So he never even had an option of Maimer. And you're telling me that his Maimer comes first, then it's an issue?
No, his Yevum came first.
No.
His Yevum had priority.
If
Yevum knocked out the Maimer of the brothers.
Yeah, with the Maimer that the brothers did earlier. But based on that, what we were really saying is, when does what he does only have an effect if he did it first? That's only Maimer. But Bia, it would even come later and have an effect. So when we said in the Mishnah that who paisel tchila, that was talking about Maimer. Question is, we have a brisa that says that he doesn't even have Maimer because he's a minor.
But he has Yevum.
But he has Yevum.
So the Yevum, which is derisa, trumps the Maimer,
Yeah.
which is the Rebbe.
Yeah, but the case of the Mishnah that said that he only has an effect if he does it first was according to this, was only referring to Maimer. And the Brisa says that he doesn't even have any option of Maimer. They have 4 options. He has only 1 option. So how does that mean that if his Maimer first affects the brothers? The Gemara answers, Bia the pasal bein betchila b'seif psikale. Maimer de betchila pasal b'seif le pasal le psikale. What we're just saying here is that the reason why the Brisa says he only has 1 option, because the Brisa wanted to give me an option that he can do at the beginning or at the end, and that would be effective. But since his Maimer at the end isn't effective, so the Brisa didn't bother mentioning it. But really, he does have a Maimer that would be effective at the beginning. Didn't say it in the Brisa, but it's true that he has it.
I can give you a ride. You're not gonna like it. That beer itself is good. Because it's a Isha Nicholas Kesef Star beer. Not beer itself there, Isha Nicholas have come beer. So not really want to do that.
It's
to
my-
remember it, to remember it.
It's Marnami. Very good. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. We have a statement over here. Rav Yehuda says, name of Shmuel, Yesh le get. What does that mean? That he does, the minor is able to give a get. He's able to give a get to the Yevama, even though the get is also one of these rabbinic sort of things. It doesn't really, it's not the biblical chalitza. But if he can do a get, then he can also do maimer. The Gemara says, 1 second. Reb Meir holds that a minor, a 9-year-old can give a get. But Tanya, Asabia spent Teskamaimer begadol. The Brisa says that the relations of the 9-year-old is similar to Maimer of an adult. Reb Meir Aimer Asu Chalitza spent Tesha could get begadol. Chalitza of a minor is like a get by a gadol. So chalitza would work midirabanan according to this. But the Gemara asks, V'im Isa, and if it's true that a minor can give a get, listening kigitai, why does it say get begadol? Just say like his get. The get by a gadol is also a derabanan because it's yibam. There's no get by you; it's only a rabbinic get. So why doesn't it say kigitai? So Amar Ravuna Breder Rav Yeshua Islay v'zutar. He does have a get, but it's even less, and it's like Rabban Gamliel Damar ein get acher get. Hani mili begadol acher gadol v'katan acher katan. Avol gadol acher katan mahani. If there's a get, Rabban Gamliel says you can't have a get twice. The second get is meaningless when it comes to Yibam. So that's only if they were both of the same strength. But a get of a gadol after a katan does work. So when we said that his chalitza is similar to a get, now it makes a difference. Which type of get? Get of a gadol, a get of a katan, because that's going to make a difference if there's another get.
But you also have to give a get anyway when you do chalitza.
No, chalitza is usually just chalitza. It's just if someone did a get, then it makes a difference. And according to the Rabbanan, there is a get acher get, but that's only a gadol acher gadol or a katan acher katan. That means they're both of the same standing. But a katan acher gadol, then that get is not going to be. It's not going to be anything. I guess we have to leave it over here on the top of Tzadik Vav Amud
Everybody
Beis.
know why you get this called a get? No, outside of the joke.